start a new series for the Civil War Collectible channel. I am in a historic Bardstown, Kentucky, established 1775, and it is the bourbon capital of the world. Here in Bardstown, we have the finest Civil War museum in the country. It is the Battles of the Western Theater, and it's dedicated to the soldiers of the Western Theater. What we're going to do in this series is to have a feature on both Union and Southern individual soldiers. We're going to call it the Unsung Heroes of the Civil War. So tonight we're going to start with Buford Watson Adams of the 2nd Kentucky Cavalry CS. Buford Watson Adams was born in 1845 in Boone County, Kentucky. He was raised on a farm, and when the war broke out, his brother left and joined John Hunt Morgan's cavalry that just left Lexington, Kentucky, and went and camped at Camp Charity right outside of Bloomfield, Kentucky. So he met him there and joined up. Buford, who was 14 years old at the time, decided he wanted to be with his brother. So he ran away from home, and he found his brother down there in Bloomfield, Kentucky with John Hunt Morgan. But in hot pursuit was his father, because he was worried about him. He was too young to join the Civil War. So his father finally caught up with him at Camp Charity, and the boy didn't want to leave. So his father talked to John Hunt Morgan and said, "I'm going to hold you personally responsible for Buford's welfare." Morgan agreed. So Buford Watson Adams was a member of the 2nd Kentucky Cavalry at age 14. He participated in all the raids of John Hunt Morgan, beginning with the Christmas raid of '62, where they raided down into Shepherdsville, Kentucky, which is only 24 miles from Louisville. And that was a good raid for the Cavaliers of Kentucky. They raided the train stations down there and acquired uniforms and weapons. He also participated in the Great Raid, the Northern Raid, the farthest northern raid into the United States by the Confederacy. And that was in 1863. And at the Battle of Buffington Island, West Virginia, when it got heated, Morgan told him, he says, "We're going to be captured. Take your horse, strip it, keep the bridle, and head back to Kentucky, because you have to swim the Ohio River." So Buford and his horse swam the Ohio River and made it back to Boone County. Buford was an excellent horseman. So, of course, as you know, John Hunt Morgan was captured at New Lisbon, Ohio, and he was sent to the penitentiary in Columbus, Ohio. After his escape, Buford got wind of it and headed to Tennessee to rejoin his commander. After his commander got killed in Greenville, Tennessee in '64, Buford stayed on with the famed Cavalier, Basil Duke. He stayed with Basil Duke to the end of the war. And in Richmond, before it fell, Jefferson Davis needed an escort. So he asked for the famous Kentuckians, Basil Duke, and Basil Duke's companion, Buford Watson Adams, rose to the occasion, along with some other famous Kentucky statesmen, and they headed out of Richmond and they headed south. He was captured in Georgia with Jefferson Davis, and he said at that day, he said, "I was with the Star of the South when it ceased to rise again." He was paroled down in Georgia and made it back to Kentucky. And after the war, as many Kentuckians did, he went to seek his fame and fortune in Texas. He stayed in Texas till 1874, and he decided his life was back in Kentucky. So he returned to Kentucky. He married, and in 1895 up to the 1910, I believe, he was the county clerk for Boone County. And he was also the president of the bank in Boone County. And toward the end, he became religious, and he attended the Big Bone Baptist Church. Buford Watson Adams died, and he was buried right there in his beloved Boone County. This is one of the unsung heroes of the Civil War. And in front of you, we're looking at the artifacts of Buford Watson Adams. His jacket is hand loomed. It's an Atlanta Depot jacket. His hat is an Atlanta Depot hat. We have his box belt, the rectangular plate with the pigskin leather. That is also a Atlanta Depot. The revolver you see there, well worn, that was manufactured in Georgia also. That is a Spiller and Bird. We have his stirrups. We have his boots. The canteen you see was made by the Shakers right outside of Danville, Kentucky. The eagle-head sword there you see was given to him by his father at the beginning of the war for his protection. You also see the large folding knife. That was what they called a boot knife. He kept that in his boots. And we have his pipe and a little boot pistol. And on the right of the display, you'll see his obituary when he died. And again in his obituary, evidently prior to his death, he wrote his own obituary, and he said he was with the Star of the South when it ceased to rise again, when Jefferson Davis was captured. And this is the artifacts that come out of the family. It's probably one of the best enlistment's cavalry outfit grouping other than the Museum of the Confederacy. And this is housed here in the Battle of the Western Theater Museum in historic Bardstown, Kentucky. And we'd like to thank the folks here at the Battles of the Western Theater Museum here in Kentucky for allowing us to come in and photograph and film these rare artifacts. The value of some of these artifacts in this particular case, as you know, we do free appraisals. From the shell jacket, the little jacket should bring in the neighborhood of $75,000 to $100,000. They are extinct. After the war, they wore these uniforms out because they had no other clothes. The hat values, these hats, matching hat, $30,000 to $35,000. The Spiller and Bird pistol, in this condition, the worn condition, approximately $20,000. And the other artifacts, as small as the belt on the original pigskin leather, $6,500. As you can see, these are all together and have been all together. This is one of the great, outstanding cavalry displays in the country. So from the Civil War guru and the assistant Civil War guru, Brennan Cole Unsung, you guys have a great day.